Hi, my name's Chip Ingram, author of Culture Shock. I'd like you to think with me about a very, very important topic for just a minute. It's sex. I mean, we've heard so much about sex. We're bombarded with sex, and usually from the church you hear something like no. And yet, what's happening in the church, I mean, Bible-believing churches, is especially 30 and under, and actually way beyond 30 and under. It's kind of like that was passe. You know, having sex isn't a big deal as long as you love God, as long as you love one another. And I'd like you to think about that with me. I mean, we said truth is truth. And when we violate truth, there's consequences. And what I want to tell you is that sex is a beautiful gift from God. And the shift that we see happening among younger people and older people is destroying lives and destroying families. After last week's service, a couple had waited around. They were young, maybe late 20s, early 30s at best. And his eyes were watery, and she was looking at him like, boy, what are we going to do? And they waited around for a long time, and we ended up talking. And finally I said, how can I help you? He goes, well, our marriage, we're in real trouble. And as his eyes got watery and watery, I said, well, what's going on? And he said, well, infidelity. And I said, well, was it with a person or was it porn? And he said, well, it was pornography, but it was really related to, I got these anger issues, and the way I escape is porn. And I looked at her and I said, you feel really betrayed, don't you? And the tears just went right down her face. And here's what I can tell you. We can kind of say everything's okay. 40% of men log on to porn on a regular basis. Women that are 30 and under, over half of them are living with someone. And by the way, this is just common. I was involved in a very large church in Atlanta. I'm involved in church here. I've got connections with pastors and people all over America. And I will tell you, all of us would say, in churches where we teach, that the great majority of people, especially in the younger generation, really are looking at me and going, this is not that big a deal. I have a friend who his son wanted to get married, and he was currently, he grew up in the church, he went to a Christian school, went to a Christian university, and he said, Dad, I want to get married. And he said, well, I think you really need to not be living with your girlfriend, and let's do this right. And he looked at his dad and he said, look, Dad, it's my only one issue, and, God's not going to get upset about one thing. Think about that. Think about what the Bible says about sex. Think about what we're doing. Think about the message that we're communicating. Most of all, think about how it breaks God's heart and how it's damaging us. Let's think clearly about sex, and then let's model it. Let's make a difference.